Well, g'day folks. Here we are, second live for the morning. I thought I'd show you where the event is happening. The Senate courtyard is the event venue. Magna Carta Park and the Senate courtyard. And as you can see, it's a lovely area. They're just setting up now, and there's a small covered area for the officials. And then there'll be, 100 chairs or so, and enough room for 500 or so people out here if you feel the urge. Now, I see a very special lady who is down here. I thought I might sneak over and say hello. The way to find the Senate courtyard, folks, is to come to Old Parliament House, walk in the front door, and make your way downstairs, follow the corridor under the blue beam, and you'll walk straight into the courtyard. Now, I did tell you there is a very special lady hanging around here, and I've deliberately not put her in frame until now. We're just having a lovely look at them setting up. But many of you will know this lady's name, and I've got to say, I've only met her in person for the first time a few weeks ago, and I love this lady to pieces. Ramona, how are you, darling?
I am wonderful. I'm feeling absolutely great. It's a very special day.
Yeah.
Being in the Old Parliament House and basically just looking around
Yeah.
and having it all around with beautiful people.
I've never been here before. Well, I'll tell a lie. I've had lunch here once,
amazing.
but it does have a great feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly has a feel like the People's House.
Yes, exactly.
A bit like that.
It's just a little bit. What made me a little bit sad, like it's made it up as a museum.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it should be basically this is for real parliament.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
People, for the people and not for the corporation.
there's a sign out there that says this parliament is vacant.
Yes.
Well, a vacant parliament is not a closed parliament. It just means there's nobody sitting.
Yeah.
So.
We need the right one to
yeah.
be actually fitting.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today is going to be very special. Midday we're starting, and you've been highly involved in the documentation that is
Oh yes.
available for people. Do you want to just give people,
Fiduciary.
the fiduciary, fiduciary duties.
Fiduciary duties. I'm gonna have the song first, all right?
Oh yeah.
Fiduciary, because I am the beneficiary. I just love this.
That is very cool.
And in end of the day, yes, we are the beneficiaries, okay, and they are here to serve us, so
Yeah.
all the public servants. And I know some of you are watching this, you're not gonna be here about it, but anyway, you got a duty, and as a public servant, you need to look after us, and this has not been happening. Not to mention, the GDP wouldn't actually operate, right?
Yeah.
Without our birth certificate, because we all been in stock. As last night, I just figured out how much I've been traded.
Oh,
thanks
wow.
to the Lockhart Court of New South Wales.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Now, name a couple of public servants. Yeah, Chris Duss. Yeah, the director of the law courts in
Right.
New South Wales.
Yeah.
And some others who are involved behind my cases. So it was all orchestrated, as I call it, RICO.
Yeah.
Right now, I've got 27 public servants that are waiting to be questions to be answered. So sent it 4 times. No one can answer. No one is getting back to me. Don't know why.
Well, we suspect.
Accountability, right? Anyway, going back to the fiduciary duty. So that one of the reasons why we actually started the fiduciary duty notice, sending out to all the public servants, because we got a duty of care that we need to inform all the public servants that are actually under fiduciary duty and fiduciary responsibility.
Yep.
And they need to do their job. And again, I cannot mention that more than enough, right? Anyone who has done the petition of right, you all know that we're not here to destroy the government. We are okay that you operate, but just make sure you do your job under fiduciary duty and fiduciary responsibility. It's that simple. It's not a rocket science. You still can make money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously not going to do the double dipping and triple dipping, because that goes back to the accountability, and as the fiduciary duty has got basically 11 points: the loyalty, the duty of care, act in the best interest of the public interest. Oh, not to mention, I have to mention this one. Now, PID, which is basically for the public interest disclosure. I just sent an email yesterday, sometimes around 8 o'clock in the morning. In the afternoon, naturally, probably in 6 or 7 hours, I got an answer. they don't think that it is for the interest of the public.
Yeah.
And I think this is just ridiculous because when you're questioning the public servants, that you are actually accountable why this is all happening. Like, I know there is no accidents, okay, so everything is basically connected, and I've seen that right now we got 6 court cases running,
Yep.
and it's all connected. Someone up in the, up in the top, they all know, brother, son, whatever, they're all connected in the end of the day. So, and this is where, and I know a lot of lawyers are upset with me because the fiduciary duty, okay?
Yep.
And that, look, I don't care. You know you got a fiduciary duty, and actually you would make business, right, if you would operate under fiduciary duty, because there are people, men and women, who are actually happy to have a lawyer if you can operate under fiduciary duty and fiduciary responsibility. Okay, so again, I cannot say that enough.
Yeah.
There are still some good baristas and lawyers, so I'm not going against anyone. I just want anything you do, just do it under fiduciary duty, full stop. And then we don't have all of this unlawful arrest and all that unlawful, stealing property and having all this fraudulent default judgments, because there is no court seal.
Yeah.
Again, the proper court seal, right? And there is no signature. Who's taking accountability? And this is another thing. When you start serving the fiduciary duty letters, a lot of time when people actually, the so-called public servants actually responding to you, they're not disclosing their names.
Yes.
I have it quite often. And this is all goes back because the commercial liability, because they know under the fiduciary duty, especially if you do it with magistrate judges or lawyers, they got indemnity insurance number or the fidelity fund. That clicks in straight away. Okay, so if you cause there's any harm, loss, or damage, you can go after the indemnity insurance and you can go after the fidelity fund. Okay, because anything they do, especially, policy enforcers or police officers, whatever you want to call them, they're public servants as well. And when you got all this unlawful arrest, dragging you and basically trying to obtain financial gain by deception, doing financial rape, statutory rape, identity theft, tax evasion, security fraud with all the bonds, which I just did some more research with the court bonds.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Because anytime you've been dragged to the court, it's all about the bonds and it's trading the securities. And there's like 6 or 7 type. I was just reading it last night.
Yeah.
And the lawyers and law firms and all, they all got it. Now, again, if we go back to the fiduciary duty, right? So you give and take, because there is a legal title, there is an equitable title. And that's what it should be, it should be a fair exchange under equity jurisdiction. I'm not talking about courts of equity jurisdiction. As we know, all these court cases are probate fraud, okay, unless you've been taken to the Supreme Court and you go through, you're claiming back your estate going in probate court. And that's the equity jurisdiction.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's what it should be all the time. And that's mean you need to have, you need to cause harm, loss, or damage again under English common law.
Yep.
If it's no harm, loss, or damage, again, it's the whole thing. It's like, I'm not gonna say a shit F, but it's pretty much what it's a circus. Yeah, it's a hocus pocus, piripocus, as David John Waters says that quite often.
Yep.
It's a hocus pocus, piripocus, and it's everything is controlled. It's all about the money.
Can you,
and that state,
can you just take me back to that public interest side?
Yep.
And how you've sent off a concern notice, if you like, to the public interest department, and they've replied saying, we don't believe this is in the public interest.
Yes, exactly.
So, if you have that document, would you be prepared to share it? Because I know there are many viewers who would like to share their public interest.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I was actually going to say that. Thank you. You're reading in my mind. Yes, I definitely want it, because the questions what I'm asking, like example, which I'm gonna say, and this has happened with me, not in the Supreme Court of New South Wales, but I got a couple of friends who've been dragged to court because I was helping this lady in the Supreme Court of New South Wales in a probate case, right? And like it was already, I was basically told if I get involved, there will be actually you're gonna be attacked and stuff like that.
Right.
So anyway, whatever. I am so glad and grateful that I actually participated, because I learned a lot.
Yep.
Okay. About how the court system operates, especially when it comes to lawyers, baristas, accountants, when they're involved. It's a recall.
Yeah.
It's a recall. And this is not just on that case. I've seen numerous cases. So they got a pattern. they got a playbook how they operate, right?
Yep.
Like the family law's got a playbook. Anyway, going back to my notice, yes, the questions I was asking now, how can you create from one debt, you create 4 court cases? Yeah, it all goes back security, fraud, tax evasion, breach of trust law. Because one debt should be only 1 court case.
Yeah.
None more,
Yeah.
okay? So again, how come that was allowed? You know, where was the fiduciary duty from the lawyer's side? Again,
Yeah.
it's third-party interlopers. They were practicing in New South Wales courts without practicing law certificate. And when I contacted Law Society of New South Wales and the Tasmania Legal Practitioner Board are still doing the investigation. The 2 lawyers, Laura and Iken and John Frankom, okay, from CCA Legal PT by LTD. I got a couple of people being in a similar situation what I am. And they're basically committing a pillage and armed robbery at sea through the bonds.
Yeah.
And as well, there is a couple of people who are involved. So this is all orchestrated. It's all a setup, okay? Because I never had a case in here in this country that you're not having magistrate, except last year after they created all these 4 or 5 court cases. Sorry, 5, right? And it's all pushing slavery and identity theft, you know, and some of the lawyers that are reported actually left the case. That's in another case, but these 2 not. Now I figured it out. Why? Because it's all connected. Chris Das, who is the law courts director in New South Wales. Then there is one of the accountants from another case who is connected. Then we got another accountant.
It's amazing. It's a spider web.
They're all connected.
Yep.
It's all connected. It's not an accident. And another thing, I was doing FOI with, in the last couple of years, trying to do FOI in New South Wales, but you're not getting answers for, like, example, where's the Royal Assent for Fines Act 1996, where is the Royal Assent for the Local Government Act 1993? We know it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We know that, right? Still today, go and look at the website. And who is the legal representative who is acting on behalf of the Attorney General of New South Wales? Chris Das. He's the director of the local court.
Yep.
The law court, sorry. Then another thing, he is part of the legal practitioner board. Like, come on, you know, there's no independency. This is just a poor, huge collusion.
Yeah.
You know, and there will be more stuff I'm gonna come at, and we're gonna have, as I mentioned, later on, I want to have go a little bit more deeply when I'm going to explain that, you know, how much stuff they went wrong. And can you imagine the local court of New South Wales employee public servant told me when I was like, where I'm going, I'll go to Channel 9 or go to Current Affairs.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm
You're
like,
not going to get any traction there.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's basically, yes, and I got the document, I served them 4 times, and I asked a lot of questions, no one can answer. No one can answer. So where's the accountability? Where's the integrity? Where is the best interest of the public?
Yeah.
Because I always say the reason why I'm doing this, okay, it's for the public interest. And that is principle, because they're raping the estate, the public estate, and they actually committing as well, because all the debts are paid, and this goes back to the House Joint Resolution 5th of June 1933. Not to mention Australia is basically been bankrupt from the 14th of February 1966, right? And there's the Bankruptcy Act. So how are they doing it? How are they doing this bankruptcy and all that stuff? You know what I mean? No lawful judges, no lawful magistrates. They cannot do lawful court order. All they both is court orders. And it's all supposed to be done in front of you, and then you're supposed to have your consent.
Yeah.
You know, like an example now in Supreme Court of New South Wales, right? Everything is works by consent. Same with the family courts as well, like up in the higher level, right? That should be in the magistrates' courts as well.
Yeah.
Every single court, everything is consent. Otherwise, it's slavery. Slavery is 25 years jail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Criminal Code Act 1995, Section 268.10. As well, fiduciary duty, and the people as public servant, if they're breaching their fiduciary duty, again, that is the Corporation Act 2001, Section 182 and 184. There is in the Trustee Act is there, 1925 in New South Wales. And I think, which one's the Corporation Act 2001, which I mentioned, and there is another act which I cannot remember.
You're doing all right.
The paperwork in front of me, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I've sprung this on you. But what we will do, though, is get you on next week when you've got all the paperwork in front of you, and we can share that as well. And we will certainly demonstrate to the Public Interest Department that there is a great deal of public interest in what you're asking. And maybe we can force an answer.
Yeah, well, ask her, because it's for the public interest. They cannot create from one debt 4 court cases.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
like that's insane. And I know it's all about the bonds.
Yeah.
It's all connected to bonds, because even I went into that last night. Thanks for one of the living being who showed me how to look up your QSIP number, right? And I find it amazing, and how much trading, and as well who is the manager. They're all connected.
Yeah.
All connected. All connected.
You're going to have to show me that so I
Yes,
can show
will,
everybody how they do it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right.
100%.
I know you've got to
Fantastic.
do some stuff and get some stuff set up, so I'll keep going and find a few more people to
Thank
talk
you.
to. But
Love and light.
love you, dear.
Thank you. I love you too.
Can't
I
wait.
love your work.
I know we love yours. Trust me. Thanks, Mona.
Thank you.
That's Mona. She is one of the finest common law brains in this country, and she comes from Croatia. And not most, but many of the common law brains in this movement come from Eastern Europe, come from those Eastern Bloc countries. And why are they so active? It's because they have lived this before. They recognise what is being done to us. And of course, the Europeans have fought back against that sort of tyranny for their basic whole existence. So that's why we have so many of these wonderful people. And she is certainly a leader in the pack. Along with a couple of others, Glenn Short, I'll name as well as somebody who's doing magnificent work. So that's just one of the people who's behind some of the documentation that we've presented today, and a whole lot more. Mona is, of course, highly involved in helping people in the family court in New South Wales and other states. She's had a great deal of success with the arguments that she presents to the courts. So she does get very excited and sometimes gets a bit hard to understand, but I would urge you, get your head around or get your ear around her accent and start listening to what she says. She's a very, very incredible lady. All right, folks, I'm going to go out of the Senate courtyard. I'll give you another bit of a look. This is where we're at, right? The Senate courtyard inside Old Parliament House. I know I've said Magna Carta Park, which is outside, but we are inside. There's about 100 chairs set up. We'll have some special guests in the front row, and the rest of you will be able to pile in and sit down on the grass and the steps around here and partake of the festivities from 12 o'clock today. So please be here before 12 if you are coming. All right, I'll head back outside and see if I can't find a few more bodies, and we'll be back for another live shortly. I'm not sure if Vince is awake, and I hope he's uploading these to the YouTube, to the Rumble channel. But if not, we will maybe establish a link to Vince and start doing some streams across everything in an hour or two. And of course, you will be able to see the event live on our VoF HQ. Well, I beg your pardon, on our VoF and Rumble channels, YouTube and Rumble channels, from midday. And it will be the same feed, which is a multi-camera feed coming from the iBroadcast.au site. So if for whatever reason you can't access YouTube or Rumble, or the feed gets scratched, you can go to iBroadcast.au and you'll be able to see it there as well. All right, folks, love you lots. I haven't had a chance to look through your comments, so I know I've seen a few well wishes. Yeah, Baz, she is a library of knowledge, incredible knowledge, you've no idea. Belinda, God love you, wonderful woman. Hello, Catherine, thank you for your best wishes. I wish you could be here too, but I understand it's a long way to come. Darren Bergworth, mate, I'm sorry, our conversation was cut short yesterday and I said I'd call you back. I haven't. I will attempt to do that today, and yeah, we're going to need to sit down and have a bit of a chat with you too. And who else? Dusty, nice to see you in the house again. The gorgeous Sandy Kay, who, if you go to my Facebook channel, you will find that I've posted up a television news story that has been done by NBN, or Channel 9 NBN, out of Newcastle, about the donkey sanctuary. Now, the sanctuary needs support. We've known that for some time. I didn't realise that the last wet period that they had actually created some flooding on their property, which has meant that some of the acreage that they have for these donkeys is unable to be used, so there's no feed for them. They've had to go buying feed in because the paddocks are flooded. That's an expensive thing at the moment. Everything has gone up. Every cost involved with looking after these donkeys, from food to farriers to dental work to medication to everything, has gone up, and the sanctuary really needs support. So I am hopeful, depending on which way I go back to Queensland, and that will be by road or by air, I'm not quite sure yet. If it is by road, I'll be stopping at the sanctuary on the way past, and if it's by air, I'll be stopping at the sanctuary on my way back, and I will be coming back to Victoria through here in the next few weeks. So I will be catching up with Sandy at the property and we'll introduce you to some of the donkeys, and we'll introduce you to the biggest one of them all. His name is Baz, Sandy's other half, lovely bloke, and we will see if we can't help raise a few bucks to try and look after the donkeys. We're still trying to raise enough money to get a float for them. I think it was about $68,000 the quote, and they use that float to go and rescue donkeys all over the East Coast. So it's important. The current float that they have is really on its last legs, and is nearly to a point where it's going to be unsafe. They won't be able to use it. So without a float, they can't save donkeys, and well, that's a bad thing. So if you can help in any way, then the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary, please go and have a look on my Facebook page. You'll see the story there. I think it's the last one I posted, so you should be able to check that out and maybe give them a bit of a hand. Thanks to Channel 9 for their support and giving the Donkey Sanctuary a little bit of promotion too. It's great. I wish it turned to a national story for them, but at the moment, not so much. But let's see if we can't help on a national scale, hey folks? All right, I'm going to head outside, find a few more bodies to talk to as people start rolling up here, and we look forward to seeing you soon, live here or live online. See you folks.